to be or not to be. But what beat does it really need to be? Hola aventureros, bienvenidos a Your Spanish Roadmap. I'm your travel companion Lucía, and today we're going to be exploring everything you need to know to learn the verb to be in Spanish, ser or estar. I'm going to give you 3 hard and fast rules that will work almost always. Are you ready to hit the road? Vamos! Well, as you may already know, in Spanish we have 2 verbs for the verb to be in English, ser and estar. There are some moments that we need to use one, and there are other moments that we need to use the other one. So it's really important to know the differences. Ser and estar have different conjugations. So it's really important that you feel comfortable with these. To make this video easier, we're going to focus on the third person singular. He, she, is. So is in Spanish is either es or está. So what's the difference? Let me show you these 3 hard and fast rules that will work almost all the time. Rule número 1. Permanent versus temporary. For permanent things, we use ser. And for temporary things, we use estar. But let me explain this a little bit more so you can capture the idea and start to think like a Spanish speaker. For example, he is from Spain. Él es de España. He can never not be from Spain. He will always be from Spain. That's a permanent characteristic. Unlike he is happy. Él está feliz. Because, well, happiness is a temporary state. It's not a permanent state. Happiness is not forever. However, you'll see now how these 2 verbs can be used because we can actually say él es feliz. But that means that he is happy. He's a happy person, like his personality, his demeanor. In the core of who they are happy. They are a happy person. So, estar refers to the state or conditions of something, and ser refers to the essence. In fact, ser in its Latin roots is actually esse, which is the root of the word essence. Let's look at the example. She is brunette. Ella es morena. Now, I've had my students say, but Lucía, hair color is not permanent. It's temporary. You can change it. But it doesn't matter how much you change it. In essence, she's a brunette. So a quick recap. Ser is used for permanent things, meaning the essence or characteristics of something or someone. And estar refers to the state. Muy bien. Let's see a bit more in rule número 2. We always use ser when referring to one's occupation. For example, she is a teacher. Ella es profesora. And I have my students telling me again, but Lucia, a job isn't permanent. And they are right. But hear me out. We can recognize in some part that it relates to one's character, to one's essence. I am a teacher. Yo soy profesora. Historically, one's job was who they were. In English, we have so many surnames that come from occupations. Miller, Bowyer, Fletcher, Baker. Because historically, we can recognize that one's job is related to one's nature. Now, this might or might not be true. But what is one of the first questions that we ask someone that we just met? What do you do? What do you do for work? Because we do initially determine one's character depending on the job that they do. We feel it's kind of related to their personality, their nature, their essence. Bien, rule número 3. We always use estar for the location of someone or something. She is at the beach. Ella está en la playa. The library is in the old town. La biblioteca está en el casco antiguo. Because the location has nothing to do with what makes a library a library. So we use estar. And I'll be honest, these 3 rules will apply in almost every instance when deciding between ser and estar. But before we dive deeper into the differences between SER and ESTAR, I want to let you know that this video is actually part of my online Spanish course. The course is designed to give you the tools and knowledge to tell your story in Spanish while discovering the language. There is also a comprehensive guidebook that accompanies the course, and I want to give you a cheeky peek inside as we continue discussing the differences between SER and ESTAR. Perfecto! Let's start with SER. Like we said, we use it when talking about the essence of something. So ser is used whenever we describe personality or physical traits. For example, mi prima es muy guapa. My cousin is very beautiful. Or ella es alta. She is tall. As mentioned before, we use ser to talk about profession or occupation. We use it to talk about identity, nationality, origin. Ella es de Inglaterra. She is from England. María es mi madre. Maria is my mom. And the final one is we use ser to talk about hours, days, seasons, and dates. Hoy es lunes. Today is Monday. Let's have a look now at estar. Estar is used to talk about temporary characteristics like moods and states. Está feliz. He is happy. Está enfermo. He is sick. In further detail, when looking at states, we use it when describing the results of an action, like la puerta está abierta. The door is open. We also use it with the gerund when describing actions, like ella está estudiando español. She is studying Spanish. And as we have seen before, we use it to talk about location or place. Está en la casa. She is in the house. And finally, an odd one. We use estar when talking about the days, season, and dates, but in the first person plural only. Nosotros, we. So the verb would be estamos. Estamos a viernes. It's Friday. Estamos en invierno. It's winter. Or we are in winter. That's absolutely everything you need to know about ser and estar. But the key takeaway that I want you to go with is that ser is related to permanent things. It's related to the essence, to beingness, to the isness. And estar is related to something temporary, to a state or the location of someone or something. Just keep exploring the language. I know ser and estar can be confusing, but to be honest, there is some logic behind it. Mastering these two verbs and the differences is key in Spanish because we use them the whole time to talk about identity, characteristics, and states. If you enjoyed this video and you found it useful, you may want to have a look at my online Spanish course, where I empower you to express yourself and to tell your story in Spanish whilst deepening your understanding of the language. Or just let me know with a thumbs up and a comment. I will really appreciate it. Thanks for watching and supporting. Nos vemos en la próxima parada. Hasta luego, aventureros.